Call the police? Sure. In our mid-20s my husband I purchased and moved into our rather modest first house with our infant daughter. I made a big effort to meet and befriend our neighbors and all of them warned me to be careful of one particular person, Jane. Jane had lived in the street for 3 years at this point and had earned herself the nickname Big Fat Jane as she was manipulating, intimidating, and thoroughly awful. Jane ran a daycare from her house, but neighbors on both sides reported hearing her scream at the children and leave them unsupervised in the garden. It's important to note that Jane's partner is a police officer. The neighbors were scared of retaliation if they reported her or stood up to her. It seemed Jane would use this to get away with her horrific behavior. Our house had a driveway with a dropped curb big enough for one car, but we could fit both if you blocked in the first and only used the second car. Parking on the street was very limited and we had double yellow lines outside our house, not allowed to stop/park there. During some essential roof work our driveway was taken up by scaffolding and a skip, so we parked in the street and my husband parked outside BFJ's house. The next day when he went to his car, BFJ came running down her path shouting at him. She screamed about his antisocial parking, that his car would be towed and that he could expect it to be scratched up if he left it there any longer. My husband calmly explained it was a public road and she had not right to police the space. Her screeches at this point were loud enough that I, and several neighbors heard, and came to see the commotion. Her partner was perched at the door during all of this, saying and doing nothing. When she saw me on pavement with our daughter she pointed and screamed, "You'll have the social on you if you don't duck off. I'll scratch you right up." At this point I told my husband to come back and we were calling the police. She responded, "Call the police. I ducking dare you." He's, pointing at her partner, a policeman. "He'll ducking sort you out. You won't know what hit you." At this point my husband looked at her husband and said, "Is that right? And you're agreeing with what she said?" The partner nodded and said, "You need to move or accept the consequences. You call the police, it won't get you anywhere." Funnily, when I then took out my phone and dialed the non-police emergency number on speakerphone, and made a police report, both of them looked a lot less confident. BFJ stood there open mouthed, then grabbed her partner and slammed the door. And we haven't heard from her since. Her partner was placed on suspension due to the allegation, and further allegations from our neighbors. He then returned to an admin role. After our confrontation, BFJ was given a warning for a public order offense. However, due to a number of reports, her daycare closed and she is no longer able to mind children. Their house is up for sale. However, as she made a number of modifications without proper planning or works people, its price is significantly lower than they expected and they're in negative equity, all because of a parking space. Now to the comments. This is better than a cup of coffee for starting my day right. The best part of waking up is MC in your cup. Thanks for jamming that jingle in my ear. Nice. Nothing like calling people on their bullshit. You know, maybe you were lucky. Bad neighbors can be a real nightmare and the good guys don't always win, especially when one is police. Glad it worked for you though. Sounds like OP is in the UK based on some of the phrases and descriptions. Most of our police forces cover a county or a city, and we're fairly good about keeping second/third plus generation officers in separate areas. Generally, throwing your weight about off-duty is a good way to lose your warrant card here. Going to war with bad neighbors though, yeah, it's a nightmare. Generally, throwing your weight about off-duty is a good way to lose your warrant card here. God, I wish we had that kind of accountability in the US. As soon as you said Big Fat Jane, I knew this was UK based. Glad hiding behind her good-for-nothing police officer got her nowhere. There's too many on a power trip. Boom. Sweet revenge. Love it when karma works properly. Although true karma would have probably seen them incarcerated. Give it time. Old habits die hard. Twice before, I've been in the situation where people threatened me with either car scratches or flat tires because they think the parking spaces on the public road in front of their house/office belongs to them. On both occasions I was with a friend/relative. I'd thank the aggressor for the threat and say, "Thank you. Should anything happen to my car, I'm reporting you to the police straight away. You threatened me, I have witnesses, so you explain to police it wasn't you, because I won't be checking whom it could have been." You should see the look on their face. Dang. You managed to clean up the neighborhood with one call. Bravo. This is awesome. Growing up, our neighbor 3 doors down was an RCMP officer. He would routinely have hot tub parties until 3 a.m. I wanted to call the cops, but my dad wouldn't allow it. He said the second most stupid thing you can do is call the cops on the cops. I asked what the stupidest thing would be and he responded that he hasn't figured that out yet. I asked what the stupidest thing would be and he responded that he hasn't figured that out yet, wise man. Yup, he sure was. I so wanted to call someone who came to my sister-in-law's house. That sounds exactly like BFJ. Except she was threatening that she worked as a prison warden, and she knows a lot of people in the police force. I so wanted to call her out on her BS, but it wasn't my place to defend or make things more difficult for sister-in-law further down the road. I'm doubtful that a warden would say that they were one like that. It's easy to find out who the wardens of prisons are as it's public information. It was a long time ago. She may not have been warden or just a prison officer, whatever the correct term is. Definitely not screw. I would have had the argument with her, but my husband got involved and de-escalated the situation. If someone throws their weight around, I just want to see how much weight they actually have when you call them on their BS, though I guess prevention is better than cure, even if cure is potentially satisfying. Satisfying. Officer here. Citizen complaints in my department are looked at thoroughly, and if you're caught being a dick, abusing your power, you had better start looking for a new job. Plus, all your buddies hate you because it makes them look bad too. What country are you from? US. This is the reason people need to call people out on their shit. Imagine if one of the neighbors had called the police years before, they would have saved all of that headache for everyone else. My neighbor across the street has taken it upon herself to police parking on our street, due to a local Chinese restaurant being somehow popular enough to have spillover parking here. So, she takes pictures of license plates of Asian drivers here, to report it to someone, despite this being a public road also. This is especially bad as my city is about half Asian, half white, including my neighborhood. We found out about it one day when an Asian friend parked here to visit us and we noticed the neighbor taking a picture and confronted her. She made a casual racist comment, but then said, "Oh, she's your friend. I'll delete this picture then." No revenge or anything, we just avoid the neighbor. I shouldn't have laughed so hard at her Shrek-style layers of stupidity, but they just keep going, defending an entire area that doesn't belong to her from a foreign threat, assuming that only Asian people eat at the restaurant, and probably assuming all Asians are Chinese, watching the street enough to run out when someone parks but not paying attention to whether they actually go to the restaurant. I can only imagine how well her critical thinking skills play out in the rest of her life. Hope she gets nabbed for harassment or wasting police resources. Man, it's just sad seeing the people who are supposed to protect us abusing their power. Sad. It costs literally $0 to stay in your lane and mind your own goddamn business, and I hope she remembers that next time. Man, this is almost r/pro revenge territory. Hell yeah. Way to go. That was complete BS. Especially BFJ's S/O stating that calling the cops would get you nowhere. I offer a long-distance high five from Northeast Florida. I will be sending positive vibes your way, and I sincerely hope that more disciplinary actions are taken toward the husband/boyfriend, abusing his position as a Leo to attempt to intimidate you and your S/O. Y'all were completely in the right when it comes to the ability to park on a public road. Sorry you have to deal with someone like BFJ and her stuck-up boyfriend/husband. Honestly, it's even sadder that BFJ was the one to first threaten you with her partner's status as a Leo. To think she probably gets off doing that to people. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't try to use that elsewhere, as well. Blessed be and stay safe. Positive vibes headed your way. OP replied. Diolch from Wales. Thanks, my momga raised a fighter. Because of her I have a high sense of right and wrong with little willpower to stop myself calling out bullies. I don't always win, but it does help me sleep at night. We can't win them all. However, as long as we do what we feel is right, it'll all work out for the best.